Hi everyone! I just wanted to give you a little update on some of the blooms happening right now in local deciduous forests. There's this phenomenon in the Northeast called kind of the spring ephemeral period, or spring ephemerals is what botanists and plant lovers call it. And it's a really neat kind of moment in time where you get this huge number of blooms happening in deciduous forests. And it all has to do with light. So the same kind of thing can happen in other areas. One famous one would be in the desert. So sometimes deserts don't go without rain for a really long time, and then when it rains there's these big blooms. People drive from all over to see them, and they're really, really famous. So we have the same thing happening here in the deciduous forests, and it is related to rain a bit, but it's mostly related to light. In this forest I'm in right now, if we were to sort of come back in the summer, it would be much shadier. You know, there's a lot of sort of sun kind of coming in through the forest canopy because the leaves have not fully emerged. And so there's all this light coming in. We've kind of had some warm spring rains. The insects are out. The frost-free days are kind of at their end. It's just this perfect little window of time for a bunch of plants to come out and bloom, get pollinated, photosynthesize, put energy back into their roots, have their seeds carried away, and kind of start out for next year. Some plants in this forest, like the mosses and the ferns, love that shady environment, and they're kind of out all year long enjoying the shade and the moisture that this kind of forest sort of has in it. But some of them really need to take advantage of the sun period. So this one beside me, Trillium Grandiflorum, or large flowered trillium, or white trillium, famously known as Ontario's provincial emblem. It has all of its leaves and flowers in 3 parts, hence the word trillium, and its leaves are kind of flat like these giant solar panels. So they're just really taking advantage of this sunlight right now. And there's a lot of bees and small flies kind of buzzing around, and they would pollinate plants like trilliums. And then when this trillium goes to seed, it produces a little seed that has kind of a little fatty cap on it. Almost like if you put butter on a cracker, it makes it a bit better, a bit more palatable. And what that does is it means things like ants, sometimes even spiders, will find that seed quite juicy. They'll want to take that seed back to their food cache because it's got that nice little bit of fat or lipids on it. And by effect, they essentially plant the seed because they can take that fatty part, which is on the outside, and the seed gets planted wherever they've left it. And so that gets distributed throughout the forest. It's kind of amazing, these blooms. I mean, there's Jack in the Pulpit and trilliums and hepaticas and Dutchman's breeches and foam flowers, everything in bloom around me. And it almost looks like a botanical garden, and I guess in a way it is. It's kind of planted by the ants in many cases, but it's just this great sort of event that happens in the spring in deciduous forests, and to an extent even in coniferous forests there's some sort of spring blooms that typically come out, but they're more so related to just seasonal timing, whereas this is really related to a light coming into the canopy. So it's a really neat phenomenon to see here in the Northeast. I'll give you a little view of what that canopy looks like. You can see there's some space in it still where there's light coming in. And here's some of those large flowered trilliums. Look at all that light they're getting. They're just really in full sun, able to photosynthesize. Same with these leeks over here. And there's a little leek flower about to come out. There's some Jack in the Pulpits. I just love these ones. This is in the arum family. Here's some red trilliums. This is another species of trillium. And you can just see all the things in bloom out there. It's just a wonderful time of year here in the deciduous forest.